First, above sports and all that, our thoughts and prayers go out to Jethro Muscadin's family. Earlier this morning, he passed away, and just really praying for his family. I mean, he was a Lobo for a short time, albeit, but just condolences to them, because that's never easy to deal with, especially when they're young. And then what Heather and them were able to do, women's soccer team, congratulations to them. Big game tomorrow night, so let's fill that side of the stadium up. And then Coach Franklin, I mean, I'll read your book, Coach Franklin. I mean, that's impressive. 15 consecutive conference championships. I mean, the number one goal in every program is to win a conference championship and then move on to have a chance at national championships and all those things. And they've done, 3 in a row, 15 in a row. That's impressive. So congratulations to those squads. The bye week was much needed. We got some guys back today for practice and Sunday that we haven't had for about 4 or 5 weeks, which will significantly help. Don't know if Issei will be ready to play on Saturday. He did not practice today, but everybody else did, which is a positive. We'll see. The Jordan Porter is still he practiced a little bit today, but still day-to-day trying to get him to the game. So that's a positive. I mean, Frank said it. Utah State had a bye week too. Coach Anderson has done a great job there. Obviously, in year one, they won a conference championship. So they've had a couple ups and downs this year in result-wise, but they're just like everybody else in our team. They're a very competitive football team in our league. Very competitive football team, and we get an opportunity to go there. Now it's going to be rain all day, which is kind of fun. I mean, we got a bunch of kids that have never played in rain, snow, so we'll land in Logan on Friday. We'll go through our normal walkthrough and stuff, and then get ready to play the game. It's an earlier start, 1:30, so that'll be good. What questions do we got?
But you feel like Justin got out of the bye week in particular?
We did a lot of good versus good. First defense versus first offense. For the speed, especially for him, getting some live stuff. Now, we didn't tackle him to the ground, but we gave him, getting those guys, and we did some good on good again today, because I think it's really valuable for a lot of the young players on our team, including him. So hopefully he'll be able to execute, because he's seen speed faster than what he's normally seen, and the scout team look is never as fast as what you see on game day. So going good on good will hopefully help that.
And the guys that have been out for a few weeks, how are they looking right now, and what kind of boost do you expect to get from guys like CJ and Ray?
Well, CJ, Colin James has done a really nice job of keeping himself in shape. I mean, they do between water aerobics inside the treadmill in the training room that's underwater, staying on the bike, just doing stuff to keep them cardiovascular shape. Now, when you're 300 pounds and you're getting beat on by 300-pound guys, you have to train yourself for some of that. He looked pretty good on Sunday, moving around, did not have a limp and all that. So really was proud of him with his knee injury. And then Ray today was his first practice back, and it looked good having 30 run around out there. So you've got 30 and 42 in the middle between him and Dion. Those two guys, when they're able to spell each other, can play really, really hard for long periods of time. And then just the boost of morale, having those guys back out there. When they're over there standing on the sideline trying to pay attention to what's going on, as opposed to when they're running around. Now, when they're not in the team activities, they're over in the corner with our strength coach, staying in shape and doing those things. But seeing them run around, it gives everybody a little bit of a boost out there. And I thought Sunday and today, there was some of that because of those guys being back.
Yeah, assuming Dante Martin is he?
Dante Martin has been practicing since last week. He will start on Saturday. He's full go, and he's looked really good the last couple of days. He should be fresh. He's had 4 weeks where he hadn't had to run and beat up anybody. And his lung doesn't seem to be giving him any issue whatsoever, so that was positive.
How important is that given the young guys you've got back there as well?
I think it's really good to have Dante there, because they can learn from his experience. They got some live reps, which normally as a true freshman you're not going to get, especially 2 of them on the same field at the same time. Those will be very valuable, especially if something happens to Dante. You're not putting a guy in that hadn't played. We'll keep a rotation with those guys, because I think it's important that they still continue to develop. But having Dante back there, I think he's, if not the best, one of the best corners in this league. So having him miss 4 weeks, it really hurts your pass coverage in the secondary. And those guys are getting valuable reps, which will be really good down the road over the next couple of years. But we get Dante back next year too, so it's just all valuable experience for him.
Jordan and Justin haven't had a lot of time together, but with Jordan, kind of slowly coming back, how much of a help can he be to the passing game?
If he's healthy, he can. You saw what he did against UNLV. You saw what he did against UTEP. I mean, those are the kind of things that Jordan Porter is capable of doing. A healthy Jordan Porter. If he's not 100%, then we saw what happened against Fresno. I mean, he's not as dynamic and he's not as alarming and pressing to those guys. So we're trying to manufacture to get him to Saturday and get him and have him be healthy.
Coach, for the guys that have missed the last few weeks with injuries, or some of the younger guys that are getting more playing time more recently, I mean, you talk all the time about live bullets and the importance of that, but are you getting the sense that they're picking up on some things from the sideline on game days?
You mean our younger kids,
or yeah, the younger guys, or the guys that have missed a couple weeks with injuries, just watching the game?
No, for sure. I think those guys. I think our older guys have done a really good job of trying to mentor the younger guys as they're playing. I mean, Dante Martin over the last 4 weeks, he's been in the ear of both Zach and Bryson every time they come off the field with stuff that he's seeing, almost like another coach, but in their age group. So when you have a player that's good and that you can count on like Dante, that stuff helps. If you have a player that doesn't know what he's talking about, it can be just the adverse effect. So trying to monitor those guys. But I think we have a bunch of young kids in our program that are benefiting from the Dante Martins, the Ratson Jang. CJ did a nice job helping Ratson when he came off, and I thought Ratson did a nice job last week stepping in at center, because Ratson, he's really not big enough to be an O-lineman at this level. I mean, he weighs 228 pounds, and he did a really nice job against Fresno. We didn't have issues in the middle. I mean, it was more perimeter stuff. So I think those guys have done a nice job.
Wyoming rushed for 330 yards against Utah State. Looking at Utah State's lineup from week to week, they had some people out. Obviously, you can't tell who's going to be back
At all.
But do you have to anticipate that some of them?
That's the plan. I mean, we're going in with the plan that they're going to be healthy like us. Now, I've watched all of Blake's stuff, and I've been more of an open book on who we're getting back than him. And maybe it's because he doesn't know. I don't know. Or maybe he's smarter than me. Who knows? But I'm okay with those guys knowing that our guys are going to play, because, I mean, we're a physical football team, and when we're healthy and we have all those guys, I mean, we're a lot more competitive than when we don't. And so we're planning on them being at full speed because they've had 2 weeks off. They had a physical game in Wyoming where Wyoming did rush for 341 yards. I mean, we've watched that tape on both sides of the ball because I thought Wyoming did some really good things in coverage. I mean, Utah State, different than other teams, they use the entire 53 1/3 of the field. I mean, they put those wideouts sometimes on the sideline and see if they can make you declare if you're going to try and stop the run. Are you going to put 5 or 6 in the box? Are you going to play man coverage out there? I mean, they do some really good stuff schematically to spread you thin and make it basketball on grass. And so we're anticipating on both sides of the ball. And I don't know, I'm not sure which quarterback all three of them have played. Davenport, the true freshman, he played the significant snaps against Wyoming. Levi Williams, the transfer from Wyoming to Utah State, I mean, they swapped quarterbacks. I mean, all three of them could play, and all three of them are a little bit different. So with those guys having 10 days to prepare for us like we did, and with what we do schematically on defense, I'm sure they spent the majority of that time to try and make sure they can pick everything up. We're anticipating them being full speed healthy just like us.
Unusual situation with, in the middle of the football season, the athletic director stepping down. Have you talked to Coach Anderson at all about it?
I have not about that. I mean, it's not typical for me to talk to Blake or the coach during the week. I mean, I'll see him on Saturday, and I've talked to Blake throughout the season. I have no idea why John Hartwell. I read something that it was time for him to put his family first, and if that's the case, good for him. If that's what he decided and felt that he needed to do for the best benefit of their family, then praise him. I mean, that's great. I think John Hartwell's a good guy and has done some really good things there. So I'm sure they're kind of spinning their wheels because that happened pretty quick out of nowhere. So I mean, I don't know anything more than that, just what I read.
After the Fresno State game, you talked about how after the long pass, seemed like
We collapsed a little bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Has that been addressed, do you think?
I think we address that stuff 365 days a year. We try and put them through different things all year long to take them to the brink of exhaustion and make them fight through scenarios that, and I think it benefits them for the longevity of their life. I mean, there's going to be ups and downs in every aspect of their life, in their marriage, with their kids, with girlfriends, jobs. How you react and how you overcome the adversity really displays a lot of how your future is going to be. So we attack those things every day. We're young. I think we give in to some things. Those are all growing up, maturing. I mean, you play 18 true freshmen, you're asking for a whole lot of those things. And it'll benefit the program in the next couple of years, but you go through things right now and it becomes a very fragile deal that we'll continue to harp on those things all year long, because I think it's part of our job to help them grow into better people beyond football players. So that's something that they get harped on every day about.
Coach, I was just going to say, how would you evaluate where the defensive line is right now at this point of the season?
That's a very interesting question, in the fact of they've done some really good things and they've done some things that haven't been very good. I thought in the second half, Fresno State won that line of scrimmage. I thought we'd done some things all year long that had really caused a lot of people trouble. Now, we don't get a lot of great pressure with a four-man rush. We don't have one guy that's been able to dominate that. I thought Jake Saltonstall did some really good things in the first half last week. He did some really good things against UTEP. Now, we've moved Jake back and forth between nose and defensive end. Kyler Drake is probably for the first time all year healthy. So we expect to see some things out of him. Tyler Keeney's finally healthy, full speed after battling knee injuries. Hopefully we can get some positive productivity out of him. I think we're probably our deepest that we've been at the D-line since probably UTEP. So if we can rotate those guys and keep them fresh up there, because we don't have a guy, and I mean, this is a terrible example because he's been in the NFL for so long, but Von Miller is such a game-changing player. And obviously he was with the Rams last year, now he's with the Bills. But if you watch him with Buffalo the other on Sunday, I mean, everybody thinks that Von Miller is this elite pass rusher. Von Miller's an unbelievable football player. I mean, they can't run the ball to his side. They can't block him one-on-one. We don't have that kind of a guy yet. And you can do a whole bunch of things when you do have one of those. So we're kind of by committee. And I think they play really, really hard. We do need to get bigger and stronger at that spot, and that'll come with time. I mean, we've got some guys in there that are big but need to get stronger. That's all a part of the development process.
Do you feel like there's more pressure on them, generate pressure with some of the young guys in the back end?
Oh, definitely. Now, you don't know how good if you can get a pass rush with a really good pass rush with four guys, you can do a whole bunch of things in coverage. If you have to add an extra guy to the rush to get to the quarterback, well, now you're either going to play straight man free, or you're going to try and fool them with fire zones. And we got a lot of that stuff. But now you're asking a young guy to execute more things because those guys up front aren't as good. And then what I've heard over the last couple of weeks from our guys, which I think is good, when the guys get to the quarterback, I mean, they're getting excited for the secondary because they covered them long enough. And when we're not, I mean, it's the communication between the front and the back end has been really good. And then if we can continue to get better and better at man coverage, then we can blitz the tar out of people, and you take a chance of giving up a big one, but you can stone people if you can play man-to-man coverage, and we got a bunch of young ones that are going to be really good. They're really athletic. They're long. They're tall. They just need more experience. What else?
Early kickoff this week, how does, if at all, does that change, just the game day routine?
It does. It changed the game. Normally on game day, because we play so many late games around here, we like to get up, go to the stadium in the morning, do a little walkthrough, stretch them, run them a little bit, let them see the locker room setup and all that, so that when they get there, it's just here we go. We'll try and do some of that stuff Friday night, depending on weather when we get there. If the weather's clear, we'll fly into Logan. If not, then we have to fly into Salt Lake City, which is a couple-hour bus ride. So that'll determine by Mother Nature on Friday. And then we'll get up a little bit earlier for the ones that, we do everything in the morning around here. They have to be in the building by 6:30. Most of them are in the building by 6, so they're naturally ready to do things in the morning. So we'll have a continental breakfast early, and then we'll bring them back down, and we'll do chapel and all those things 3 hours before kickoff so that they have time for their food to digest. And then we go over to the stadium 2.5 hours before and play the game. I mean, our routine is I'm pretty schedule oriented, so they just look at the time and then they know what the next 20 events are going to be before we kick off.
This is the earliest game of the year. The previous earliest game was the last game, 4:30.
Yeah.
What do you mean, this year?
Yeah. We this one's at 1:30. Next week's at 1:30. Is it 1:32 or what are they?
132, 132, and the last one's 132.
So, and the last one is a Friday on Thanksgiving weekend. So, what else?
Don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
Are you going to pick up coffee and hot chocolate again tomorrow night?
I hadn't even thought about that. Did you partake and enjoy?
I did. It was great.
You didn't make it.
It was
You didn't make
freezing.
it?
It was
Could be
freezing
an
on Thursday. It
incentive.
really hit the spot.
Is it an incentive? How was it? How was the crowd, Heather? Was it good?
It was good.
It was good.
We sold out too of coffee.
I know we sold out of coffee and hot chocolate. I do know that.
I heard that. I'm like, oh, Danny's might be happy about that.
You know what? I was very happy. And I'll tell you what, I'm gonna pay for coffee and hot chocolate again. So show up and we'll do it again. There you go, Robert. You already tweeted it. It's already out there, huh? You guys are screwing with my wife's vacation. So, huh? No, not the 4:30 game. Just the UNM versus San Jose State game. I'll pay for it. So thank you, Rick. So are you coming, Rick? You have to now, yes. If you're coming, then I'll pay for hot chocolate and coffee for everybody again, and we'll make it worthwhile. If it helps our women's soccer team win, then I'll do it for the championship too. So show up. Thanks. Go Lobos before I get in more trouble.